Welcome to another edition of the Influence Global podcast that shines a spotlight on the influencer marketing industry. My name is Gordon Glenister. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm also a keynote speaker and consultant in the sector and published author on influencer marketing strategy. Influence is also a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network, where you can listen to other amazing influencer and marketing related shows. But before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel just to make sure that you don't miss a future episode. Now, today I'm joined by Archana Dhankar, who is a marketing leader and AI strategist, as well as an amazing LinkedIn voice. We've known each other for quite some time. Archana, it's lovely to see you on the show today.
Thank you, Gordon. It's a pleasure being here and talking to you all things AI and marketing.
Absolutely. And I think what we're going to try and do is have a bit of a deep dive into your career. And I think you're definitely an inspiration for a lot of marketeers. So we really want to try and get some tips and advice from you about what you've done to sort of grow your influence online, particularly LinkedIn, as I might add, because I think a lot of your background has been sort of B2B marketing, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean, I've been in B2B marketing now for about 20 years. I mean, nobody really starts their career thinking they're going to go into B2B marketing. And to be honest, like B2B marketing itself hasn't been a practice for that long either. So really excited to talk about, my experience, my journey here. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Good. Okay, so let's just go back to the start then, because you tell us about where were you born and what's your background? How did you get into marketing?
Yeah, I think it's a very funny story actually. So I'm from India. I'm born and raised in North India. I think as an education, my parents thought it's really good because engineering is trending, and I was good at maths and analytical things. So they thought, why not go into computer engineering? I've always thought of myself as somebody who's creative, but still ended up doing computer engineering. I think I got a really good, solid background on analytical skills and data. But when I started doing my job, I realized like I don't want to be spending full day doing just coding. Like that's not what I thought I wanted to do. I wanted to interact with people as well. And I started using my transferable skills and my experience, and I moved into search engine optimization and digital marketing. And to be honest, when I went for my first interview, they said, "We want you to do pay-per-click." And I was like, and that's back in 2005. So at that point, there weren't any like digital marketing books. There wasn't even a Google AdWords certification. So I was like, what do you want me to do? Click on a paper? Like, how do you click on a paper? That was exactly my question in the interview. And they were like, no, you have to click. Everybody who clicks on the website on an ad on Google, they pay for it. And that's how we drive traffic to the website. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I've obviously used search engine, but I didn't know about that space. And that's how I started learning about AdWords, search engine optimization. And after about 5-6 years working there, I moved to UK, and rest is history. I've worked throughout my careers with B2B organization, helping them drive pipeline, looking at their metrics and how we are performing within digital space. And in between, I've also, worked and learned a lot more about influencer marketing, content creation, because for me, one of the most important things is having that learning growth mindset. So I'm always learning, like from my career, from an engineering, I've then learned about like blogging, digital marketing, moved on to learning about content creation, influencer marketing. And for last 3 years, I've been also dipping my toes into AI, as they say.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it's what everybody's talking about now, isn't it?
Yes.
AI, and I admire the fact that you've self-taught, you've spent time, you've invested in yourself, because I think it's so important as marketeers to really understand some of the new technologies. It also makes you much more employable, let's be honest, doesn't it? If you have a grasp of what AI tools are out there, how they can be applied, how they can be used, you then not just become somebody that's using those tools, but of course, educating your colleagues and other teams, which enhances your own internal influence.
I think you're spot on. Like I was just about doing a talk today as well, and I said AI will not take your job, but somebody using AI, because they are just more productive, they're more efficient, they understand what's the next, and they understand how to change behavior, because a lot of folks have to unlearn the way they are doing things today and then learn new ways of doing things, because AI will change the work scope completely.
Mm.
uh, that's the case, because somebody who is already 10 or 12 years in the job, they are doing things a certain way. Somebody who is coming fresh from college, they're already adopted AI quite fast, so for them it's an easier route to learn and use AI tools. And today employers, when they're hiring, they're looking for those skills as well, people who are open to experimentation, they're already like learning AI. So
Mm.
you're spot on. I think AI is going to be there. We just have to like learn and grow with it.
Yeah.
And growth mindset, like, I mean, it's not just mindset, it's about just educating yourself, that 1% improvement every day. I mean,
Mm.
if you read books, there was one, Atomic Habits, which talks about that, but it's mainly about just learning every day something new, and that stack really builds up over the years then.
Mm. But and that's, to be honest, that's a very admirable quality, and I think it's one of the most important elements of defining influence. It's not just about one with the loudest voice. It's one that considers opinion, galvanizes different voices, and then largely creates their own based around what they've seen. So I think well done on becoming a LinkedIn voice. How did that happen?
I think I think I've been lucky, but like as they say, sometimes luck doesn't happen without you being there actually. So,
Absolutely.
but I've been late. I'll actually honestly say this. I thought about getting active and posting on LinkedIn in 2016, 2017, and I didn't actually start doing it till about 2022, 2021. And that was just the inertia. Like I faced the inertia, even though I was a content creator outside of LinkedIn, of like how my employer, how my employees, my colleagues, my ex-employees will think what I'm posting, how my content will be judged, and also like, am I actually posting good quality content? All those questions led me to having an inertia of like starting. So I was already late, and I feel like that's why I keep saying to everybody I know, everybody I talk to, is just do it. Like, don't wait for another month. Like, I'm gonna find a new, oh, I'm going to start in 2026. I've heard people say, I'm going to start in New Year. Like when I was talking to them in December, I'm like, why not in December? Like, what's that New Year will actually help you with?
Oh my
So,
goodness, I can concur with you. And it's funny actually, because I've spoken on stages all around the world, and yet here I was virtually with no video content at all. And I just thought, because I'm surrounded by lots of influencers, if I'm honest, I was actually a little bit put off by the thought, oh my, who's going to want to listen to me? Because I was, there's so much, the videos, the quality of them. And then I had an epiphany, and I'm sure it will resonate with you. And I thought, I don't need to be in the outside lane. I don't need to be the Rolls Royce. I just need to start.
yeah.
And do you know what's been really fun is, particularly on TikTok, is seeing the growth of that follower base. And the moment I've started to do interviews with people, I mean, we're now in the sort of 5,000 to 6,000 views, which for me is actually quite a lot. But that was such a change, because I like interviewing people, I like showcasing what they're doing, and I realized that became the sweet spot. And I always say to people, find your niche, keep trialing, just as you said earlier, that 1% improvement, but just get started. Because when you're out there, the first one that you do, the first post, nobody's really going to look at it. Doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't matter. And like, you're supposed spot on this. Like, I think we sometimes think like somebody's getting 100,000 impressions. So, oh my God, if I'm only getting like 500, that doesn't make sense. But
Correct.
then if you look at B2B, like if I'm in B2B marketing, I would never have a mass reach. Like even like companies I work for, even my content, because I'm only focused on B2B marketers, people who are focused on AI. I have a very small set of audience. And if I can reach a fraction of that audience, I think my job is done. So that's why we should not compare ourselves to like, large mass influencers who are getting millions of views.
Of
And
course.
that's not the metrics we should be aiming for either.
Yeah.
But you're so spot on about just
It's
like starting.
relevant. It's relevance, isn't it? As much as anything else. I always say to people, focus on the relevant audience, not the size of the audience.
100%.
Great. Now, you're really good on LinkedIn. I must admit, I like following you. I like sharing your content. It's a little, and even if you've not had many posts or something, I'm always supporting you. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's finding people in your niche that are fans, that are understand what you're doing. And in this world of attention economy, it's really difficult sometimes to stand out. And sometimes we all need a few friends that are very supportive of us, don't we? And particularly in the early days, how important was that for you?
I think it was important. I think I've always found that the network that you have, you can bounce off ideas with them and have their support. We all have like some support system or some network that we go to and say, okay, how is this looking? So I've been lucky. I've had some of that as well. But at the same time, I think one has to trust their own opinion. Like now that I'm moving in, like I sometimes just say like, I'll have a voice. I have an opinion and I want to share that. And yes, sometimes it might ruffle like somebody and they might not agree with it, and that's okay, right? Because I think the most important thing is to, one, be able to share your voice, and the second is to be authentic.
Of
Because
course.
if you're just going to write whatever everybody else is saying to get that agreement, then it's not the best way of conversing as well.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more at LinkedIn. What would you say now are some of the most important things in your LinkedIn profile or bio or type of content that you would share?
Yeah, I think like we talk about like profile optimization, right? Like, so when you I'll break it down into content and profile optimization as two different aspects. My profile essentially talks about like why somebody should follow me and like what I'm there to like help them with, other than being a CV, because LinkedIn obviously started as a CV website. So now it's more like of a portfolio. And I think it's always important to optimize your bio, your profile cover with some keywords that people will find you with. So that's super relevant. When it comes to content, I think I try to break it down and say that my content should have certain pillars. So I always look at content which is educational content, because that's what people are going back for. Why are people on LinkedIn today? They're there to make network, and then they're there to learn from their peers, like what's happening in the industry. No, like yes, there are a lot of like sales. Nobody's there to be sold to be
Right.
honest. So if it becomes very salesy, people will not engage. They want to engage with the human aspect. And the most important thing today for last 1 year that I've seen is, with AI, obviously you can generate a lot of content, which means there's a little bit of like that quality drop that has happened. And hence it's very, very important to come with more authentic, like real content, which feels human, is your own piece of advice, than just using another AI model to write your content.
Absolutely. I mean, what about stories? I mean, I saw a post today from a friend of mine who had huge amount of of comments and likes because he started to chart his journey. And I think being a little bit more fragile and saying on a post that, life hasn't been always easy. Because I think sometimes if you're watching and you're having a bit of a tough time, social media can actually be not inspirational, but it can be quite damaging because it looks like the world and his wife is having the best time of their lives and everybody's making millions and you sat at home are not. And so I think, I don't know about you, but sometimes showing a bit of fragility to say, yes, I have been successful, but I just want to let you know that that's included 15-hour days. And when we started out in a basement with just being able to pay the electricity bill, I don't know, sometimes it makes more of a journey of a conversation. What do you think?
I think, yeah, so right. Like I was probably like 1 year back, I would not have shared that kind of content. I was scared to show fragility on LinkedIn because I'm a professional and I have a job and I want to be like looked up as a strong woman,
Of
right?
course.
But then last few months, like yes, I have done few posts and people have actually pinged me, not just on like, but they've actually pinged me separately and said, "Oh, this was a great content, completely resonated with me." And that's like the feedback that made me more confident to share more of those. So I think you're so spot on. It's about, being honest on the platform. And sometimes it's not about, oh, here's another great tool. Here's how you should be doing. Like, we cannot be preachy all the time.
Right.
Is we
Yeah.
say it's social media, meaning you have to be social. Like, we need to make sure that we don't take the social word out of the media
Now
completely.
that's a very good phrase, actually. It's like if you were going into a pub or you were meeting somebody at a party, you wouldn't preach to them, would you? Because you would ask some open questions. You'd want to create a rapport. You'd want to create a relationship. So why then do we not use the same context online? And some people, of course, do a great job of that, but a lot don't. They think it's a promotional tool, and it's very frustrating when you see. Even when people haven't got their photo showed on a LinkedIn or a banner, it's very easy even to just have a lifestyle picture or to have a simple word that resonates with your values on there. But anybody that hasn't got a photo showing, I mean, I don't know, I think it's a bit of a red flag for me. I don't know what you think.
I think world has moved on. Yes, some people have like this privacy thing going on, which is I don't want to, but I don't know how that will shape up in today's world where, I mean, LinkedIn being the platform it is, it's like your job market. And
Exactly.
so, and also not just like job for businessmen or like for people who are in business and entrepreneurs, for them to connect with each other. So it's your network that gets created through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And if I can't see you, then how would I know you?
100%. And I mean, for example, if I have a Zoom call or a call with anybody, I will automatically go and check their LinkedIn before I've had the call. And if I haven't seen very much there, or I've seen no picture, I'm not saying I don't take the call, but it creates a message in my mind as though they can't be bothered to do that. And I think, and we don't have to go down the other extreme, which is, the constant show off that's online all the time. Look at me, blah, 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 blah. And, oh, I've just hit 1 million followers, or I've just made my first 250,000. Some people don't really want to hear about that. But I think carousels can be really helpful. You said educational, can't they? Where you're sharing tools that I've used. So let's go on to that, actually, because I know that you're big in the AI world now. I'd love to hear about some of the things that you recommend as a professional marketeer.
And should I focus more on AI or just like tools in general? Like, where do you want me to lead with this?
I don't mind, actually. Bearing in mind we're talking about your career, what are the sorts of things that you would suggest as your go-to, whether they be in the marketing area or indeed in AI?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, let's focus on like LinkedIn. We were talking about LinkedIn, and if I was, whether a marketer or not, let's say like you want to create your own LinkedIn content, how would you go about doing that? So my process essentially is like, I've said this to a few friends now and people I talk to, is like, my concept post ideas are coming like anywhere. Like, I don't know when I will come, I'll have a new idea. Sometimes it's in a taxi ride. And actually, I've done a post. You will see that there's one about a taxi incident, which actually came like literally, I was getting out of the train. I was like, oh, I have a great idea. I'm going to talk about this. So I have my phone. I use iPhone. So I have my notes. That's where I just quickly scribble like a voice note if I want. And it's just my like blabber. And I take that blabber, then I take it into like a proper post whenever I have time, when I think, oh, you know what, I want to now write about it. And from there, I then like look at like if I want to add a graphic, I have my Canva, which is like set for certain brand colors, background fonts that I want to use. Because as a marketer, I want to create like a standard skill set for my own brand. Just
Yeah.
because if I don't, I look like a fool, right? Like, it doesn't matter for everybody else, but my future employer or folks, colleagues might start judging me, thinking I don't even know marketing basics. So obviously, I've done that for my own Canva. And then obviously, I have few other tools that I've started using recently. For example, for my own video edits, I'm using Descript. I think there are other similar tools out there. Descript is really helpful because it can take the audio. You can create an audio file. You can create your social media post. You can create bite-sized videos fairly quickly. So that's my go-to video editing tool as well. If it comes to creating more extensive video edits, sometimes which I'm posting both on Instagram or LinkedIn, Then my go-to video editing tools are like CapCut or InShot, and those are my tools which I'm using on the fly. I just upload a couple of videos, quickly tweak them. Again, self-taught. I haven't done any courses on these tools, but they're fairly easy to use today. For my scheduling, I used to have like a couple of tools I've tested around with. Eventually, I have stopped using all of those. I'm native, so I'm scheduling all my posts in LinkedIn and individual platforms. And but I do have one tool which I love. I think it's my secret sauce, maybe. It's called Repurpose. And what this tool does is, even if I'm scheduling the post on Instagram, it can automatically push it to YouTube, TikTok, anywhere else. So I don't have to worry about scheduling the same post in 3 or 4 different platforms. That all is done by just creating certain automations in the platform.
And that doesn't have any impact on the algorithms at all?
No, I've seen my YouTube videos still going viral with like 200, 300,000 views. So
Goodness.
for sure it works.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Yeah, that's brilliant. And then AI, I mean, presumably then, I mean, there's so many AI tools, aren't there, Archana? I mean, earlier this year, I did a AI hackathon, and we shared about 15 different tools. But that said, although it was really successful, one of the takeaways from that were, I actually think you don't need a lot. You only need about 6 or 7 at max, because the big ones have got the biggest data, the chat GPTs, the Geminis, the co-pilots, because they're already pulling from this enormous data source, aren't they? And now with chat GPT, you've got the image creator, which I think is quite interesting as well. So for me, it's always been about an amazing prompt, as opposed to, trying to find all these different tools. But, I'd love to get your view.
I think you're so spot on. I think it's all about like use case. What are my use cases? So I have tested few tools, and then I've also gone and like unsubscribed because I don't need them anymore. Or I found like either, as you said, chat GPT itself is fairly good, so I don't need another tool which will do what chat GPT can do.
Exactly.
But then there are like some use cases where I still need few tools. So yeah, there are going to be hundreds of tools. Yes, there is going to be consolidation as well, just like every market has after a few years. But before that, just test few, then select the ones that are the best for your use case and move on. You are so spot on about prompts. I mean, a good prompt and a bad prompt can completely make or break the output. And I was talking about this yesterday. I have now created like mini chat GPTs, like different chat GPTs for myself. So I have one which does talks like I talk. Then I have another one which does my social media captions, another one. So I have basically 15 or 20 trained to do specific tasks. And you can create that for yourself. Like, what are those? Like, one of my friends was talking about it. She has one which does meal planning for her because she has some specific requirements. So, because then you don't have to do the prompts again and again. You've given that master prompt, and now it goes through that.
Of course. I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? That's why I love talking to people about this, is when you're on your own, you only know what you know. It's not until you start to collaborate and you say, actually, here's an idea. In fact, just going back to this hackathon, we had 5 AI experts on hand at this particular event. And one lady from the Faculty of Medicine actually put a prompt in, and she wanted to create her own conference program with speakers, with subjects, and ideal sponsors. And the guy that sat next to her, who was an AI strategist, tweaked her prompt, which was pretty good anyway, tweaked it by a few little areas and a few keywords and everything else. And before you knew it, I mean, the outcome was amazing. In fact, she shared it with the whole room afterwards. So it is all about the prompt, isn't it?
It is 100%. Like I see like there are prompts out there. Like I've created some prompts which can create like full customer research, like synthetic customer personas. So you don't need to like invest in like a lot of research for initial outcomes, right? Like at least you can sense test whether this piece of product, this piece of content, whatever that looks like, is going to go and track with your audience. And a lot of organizations actually struggle with like customer personas, customer research. I know one of the basic we all know ChatGPT is used for is like content creation.
Yeah,
that got disrupted like fast. But beyond that, like the use cases are like, there is no stoppage. You can just go as much as you want. Like it's all about your thinking and creativity.
Well, and that's a really interesting point, because no doubt you as a brand marketeer can't do everything, and you have agencies or suppliers. Could ChatGPT replace some of those agencies and suppliers, or reduce your overall spend? Because actually I can, you used to do all this persona work, you used to do this and you used to do that. And actually now I've got my own dashboard that is allowing me to be right in the driving seat, and we haven't got to pay huge agency fees to get what ChatGPT is doing.
I think that's a bit controversial, but I see where you're going. I mean, 100%. Like I see, a lot of big brands like Adidas launched a full brand video done through AI, right? Like, and Coke did that as well. I think the spend still went somewhere, right? Like it might not be that they had human, the whole shoot, the backdrop or the location, but even that video would still not be produced in one day, right? Like go and give AI one single prompt and the video gets produced. That's not the case. So somewhere down the line, somebody's doing that job.
Yeah.
And it might not be now a month's job, might be a 10 or 12 days, but you're still paying for a software. You're still paying for a specialist to produce that content. And I think the same way, I think there was a whole research on this. If you look at it, AI is not supposed to be like for these kind of specialist tasks. AI is not supposed to be used by generalists or people who don't know. It's mainly to augment the specialist. So that's why it's always said like somebody using the AI, because somebody still has to use it. For example, I might do the customer research, but I'm not a customer research expert. So if the same prompt is run by a customer research expert, they're probably going to be faster. So I think agencies might see efficiencies a lot more in their workflow. Yes, customers can ask agencies to be faster with their output. So I think those kind of demands
which may in turn be that the brand gets more value for money, or is actually saying, right, for the same amount of money that you used to do this for, because we know that you've got access to these tools, we're gonna need more, or we're gonna reduce your billing hours. So it's you're right. They may not remove that supply chain, but they may demand more from them, knowing that stuff that used to be created in days or hours could be done in minutes now. So,
yeah, I think you're so right. Like the way I see it is, it's also about like when you're now going to go and find an agency or get an agency, you're going to validate straight away and say, are you using AI or not?
absolutely.
For example, we have meeting note takers now, right? Nobody needs to send meeting notes. That used to be like 30 minutes after the meeting, somebody would write it up.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there are some efficiencies for sure.
Yeah. Great. So what's the future look like for you? What do you want to do? I know you go on stage speaking, and here you are on my podcast show, and I'm sure you've done others. What's the future look like for you?
I think for me, for now, I'm just learning. I think world is changing, and it's changing with me. I have to just keep pace with it. So for me, this year is all about learning, testing new things, and seeing what future holds. I mean, I've done those 5-year plans. They never look the same when I reach there.
Oh my God, 5-year plans. Goodness me.
Who does that anymore? I don't know. Like if I can just predict next year, I would probably be like still picking gold.
Yeah, that's super. Well, so how can people follow you or find out more about you? I'm obviously LinkedIn, but any other sort of contact points?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. My handle is Archana Dhankar. You can also find me on Instagram with the same handle. On LinkedIn, I share a lot more about marketing. Instagram right now is more lifestyle, so you can also take a peek into my personal space if you want.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So thanks again for joining us on the Influence Global podcast. And if you want help in creating an influencer marketing strategy, do just head over to gordonglenister.com. Thanks as always to my producer, Neil Whiteside from Freedom One. And until next time, from me, Gordon Glenister, it is bye for now.